Hi, this is Gautam. Welcome back. So this video is for those who want to learn how to do equity research. Okay, so if you are a student who wants to get into equity research, or if you, let's say, are a working professional who wants to, you work in a different area, but you want to pivot to equity research, or you just want to learn equity research because you want to learn how to analyze companies, okay, analyze and value companies, and then this video should be helpful. Okay. And so so in my equity research playlist on YouTube, I have put my research on a few companies. Okay. So in one of the videos in Agarwal Industrial, I got a comment. Let me go down. That can you make a video for a framework for the equity research analysis? This person says you've done almost all the work. Show us behind the scenes. How can someone start doing equity research? Okay, and this person is totally right. Uh, my videos are more of an outcome of my equity research because I'm not showing the actual sausage making. I'm not showing the framework as such. I do touch upon my framework, but not at length. Okay, so I thought, all right, this is a very good suggestion. Let me make a video on the framework as to how to do equity research. Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the framework, okay, uh, which I use to systematically analyze a company. All right, so you would get to know in what order you should do what, okay, and what you should be looking for. For example, I know it becomes very tedious to look at annual report. Many a times, same information is repeated so many times that you feel lost. Okay, so I would tell you what exactly you should look for in an annual report. Okay, all right. So you're a little more systematic. Okay, and then how to start. कहाँ से start करना चाहिए आपको? All right, because I know that there's so much information out there. So what sources you should be starting from and what you should be looking in those sources. All right. So this is what I'm going to discuss at length in this video. So if you're someone who really wants to learn this framework, okay, then yeah, this video should prove helpful to you. All right. All right. So here I have the 5 steps A, B, C, D, and E, okay, which I use to research and value a company. All right. So this is my broad framework. Okay. All right. So step A is business analysis. Okay. I've tried to simplify it to the extent possible. Okay. As I said, many times, at least I myself feel lost. So this would help you systemize, put a system, put a process as to how do you do analysis. Okay. Second is management quality assessment. That's step B. That's step 2. Then financial statement analysis, then valuation, then equity research, report writing. Okay. So in this video, I would cover the framework, underlying business analysis. कि business analysis कैसे कर सकते हैं. Okay. All right. And then I'll also cover the framework behind management quality as well. For financial statement analysis, I have a video series already. It's a 3-video series. Okay. So let me show it to you real quick. In this playlist, I have 3 videos in financial statement analysis. So I attempt to go beyond the textbook explanation, textbook definition of financial ratios, and textbook beyond the textbook explanation as to how to analyze a balance sheet. So yeah, if you really want to learn financial statement analysis, then this video series will help. And I'm of course reachable for any question that you may have. And also, I have a video series on business valuation as well, which is step 4 or step D. Okay, so it's a pretty detailed video series. Okay, and business valuation. And I've used a healthcare provider. I've valued a healthcare provider as an example, but then essentially you could value any company besides financial services. Financial services, I'm going to put a separate video, like to value banks and insurance companies. All right. In fact, I have put a mini video series on as to how to analyze a bank, not to value it, but how to analyze a bank. Okay. So any which ways. Now going back to my broad framework. Okay. Right. So essentially step C and step D, I've already covered because I've dedicated playlist on these topics. And then step E is equity research report writing, okay, which I would be taking up in another video. All right. But in this video, I would be talking about business analysis and management quality assessment. Okay. All right. And hope I am able to make it simple for you. Okay. All right. All right. So in business analysis, okay, all right. As a first step, so there are essentially 5 steps. Okay. As my first go-to step, I go either to Screener, StockEdge, or if it's not an Indian company, if it's a US company, go to Yahoo Finance. Okay. Because my objective is really to get a sense of the size and scale of the business. And I usually don't spend more than 10 minutes. Okay. And I don't try to memorize anything. It's just, a very cursory overview of the company. Okay. The company ke finance, very cursory overview. All right. Okay. You take a look at the headlines in a newspaper, okay, without actually reading the entire paragraphs, just taking a look at the headline. That's it. And 5-10 minutes, you're done. Okay. So that's what I do. That's my first step, step 0. Okay. So let me show you. So let's take Agarwal Industrial Corporation, this Indian company, as an example, in which I've already made an equity research video on. Okay. So if you watch that video, okay, on my equity research on Agarwal Industrial, you'll be able to connect with my framework. Okay. Even if you haven't watched, that's fine. Okay. So you use I think you watch this video, you'll understand this framework. Okay. And then you can use this framework to try to research. Let's start. Okay. So see, so first thing I do when I pull up a company on Screener, I look at the market cap. It's a 1300 market cap. P is 12. Not trying to memorize anything, just looking at these numbers. Okay. All right. And promoter holding is 57%. It's more than 50%. All right. Dividend yield is hardly there is any dividend yield. All right. Then I go down. Okay. All right. And I don't pay attention to the competitors more of because it's not always right. Okay. That we'll get to competition later. Okay. And then I go here and I look at the sales. So this company did a sales of 2000 CR and is valued at 1300. I'm just trying to get a sense of the size and scale of this company. And if I go back 5 years, this company was around 500, 700 sales company. Okay. The sales has actually increased quite a bit. And the operating margin is 7-8%. Okay. And net profit, if you see, net profit has been rising as well. When I go down, I look at these sales growth numbers. 5 years CAGR 32%. Profit growth is more than sales growth. Okay. And the market has rewarded this company as well. Okay. All right. Then I go down. Okay. All right. I look at the borrowings. The borrowings have increased quite a bit. I look at the equity capital. That means the company has raised capital. Okay. It has issued new equity shares. Okay. That's what it's telling me. And also it has raised debt as well. ये भी मुझे पता लग रहा है यहाँ पे देख के. Okay. All right. That's it. Go forward. Okay. I look at cash flow from operations. Okay. And by the way, if you don't have a clue about financial statements, please, I'll urge you to, just watch my video on financial statement analysis. Okay. All right. So here I look at the 5-year worth of cash flows, 5 to 10 years. So if you see 5-year ka cash flow, in my mind, I do a quick total. 5 years ka cash flow ka total kya hai, and then I compare it with the 5-year ka profitability. Okay. All right. So in this case, it seems that the cash flow from operations is greater or equal to the 5-year ka cumulative net profit. Okay. So if that is the case, then that means, okay, the money is not getting stuck in working capital. See, and again, I've discussed these things at length in other videos in financial statement analysis, but I'm just letting you know as to what I look for, in my cursory overview. Okay. Because if there is a working capital problem, then that is something which is there in my mind. Either I just make a quick note of it. Okay. Because when I analyze the financials, I tend to see what's the reason behind capital getting stuck. Okay. All right. And are the analysts asking this question? Hey, you know what? You guys have a working capital problem. What are you doing about it? So I just need to know at a high level right now, what are some of the financial issues that this company has. Okay. And again, this is a very quick cursory overview. Okay. All right. Then I take a look at these receivables, inventory, and payable ratio. Okay. So the receivable ratios increased quite a bit. Okay. Payables ratios increased quite a bit as well this year. And that's it. Okay. All right. Shareholding pattern has reduced promoters. So promoters' skin in the game has reduced slightly. Okay. Slightly, but if it would have been a significant dip, then it would have been a cause for concern. All right. And I look at the number of shareholders as well. So it's a small cap company, not a lot of interest right now from shareholders. Okay. And there is FI participation, and there is no DII. participation. All right. So this is what I essentially do. This is my step zero. Okay. And then what I do is, once I've done that, what I do is I go ahead and open up the investor presentation. That's what I do. Okay. All right. And which investor presentation I usually start with? Okay. I start with the uh, right now we are in the middle of a year, so the company has not released the investor presentation for Q4 yet. Okay. So what I would do is I usually start from the Q4 because it's the end of a financial year. So I start from June 2023. I'll start from June 2023 because it will be the end of financial year, last of 2023. So that's what I start with. Okay. All right. So once I'm done with Screener, once I am done getting the sense of the size and scale of the business, then as I said, my next go-to thing is I pick up the investor presentation from Q4. Okay. All right. So as I said, if you are, let's say, in the middle of a year, then I'll pick the Q4 from last financial year. Okay. And then I'll pick up the other quarter reports, Q1, Q2, Q3, and so on and so forth. Okay. But usually, say if the company has been publishing investor presentations for the last 5 years. Okay. So initially what I do is I just go through the investor presentation for the last 4 quarters. Okay, starting with Q4 first. Okay, and you may wonder why Q4, because it's the end of financial year. So you kind of get a sense of what has happened, what has transpired through the entire year. Okay. Okay. All right. And then so using investor presentation, you get a sense of a high level sense of the business and the industry. Okay, and I'll go in detail later when I go to my framework sheet. Okay. So that's one. So after going through a few investor presentations, not all of them, but let's say, last 4 investor presentations, then I go to the annual report. And I know annual report could be very daunting. It could be very tedious. So what I'll tell you what specifically to look for in the annual report when you're just starting to analyze a company. Okay. Just so that you get a somewhat deeper sense of the business in the industry. Okay. Right. Third is industry research. Okay. The multiple sources out there. Okay, depending upon industry, you may hit upon a different source. Okay. All right. And again, I'll tell you what you need to look for in industry research. And fourth is the conference or the earnings call transcripts. Okay. If in case the company, if it's a small company, they may or may not have earnings call transcript. They may just have AGM, annual general meetings. So you just rely on AGM. But otherwise, if you have conference call transcripts from all the quarters or 6 monthly or whatever, they provide the best source of knowledge about an industry, and about what the company is doing. Okay, so that's what I do. Right. So now let me take you through my business analysis framework. Okay. All right. So if you follow that framework, you should know what you should look for. Okay, from all these sources. Okay, what specifically look for from all these sources, and you should be able to systematically analyze, using which you should be able to systematically analyze, a business. All right. Okay. So let me go over there. All right. So now in this business analysis framework. Okay. So if you see, don't be overwhelmed by this framework, by the way. So if you see the first 2 rows, which I'm highlighting, these are my sources from which I need to gather information from. Okay, investor presentation, pehla, then annual report, industry research, and conference call transcript, so on and so forth. Okay, and so see, this framework is nothing but for me to gather information, for me to take notes from all these sources. Okay, so it's all my note taking at one place. That's what really it is. Okay, so in a systematic way. So all information I capture is at one place, so I can make sense of it. Okay, at a very high level, it's that simple. Okay. All right. So first, let me finish talking about the sequence of steps, and then I'll talk about what exactly you need to look for. Okay, but first, let me just spend a minute on the sequence. Acha. So see, you read through the 4 investor presentations, last 4 investor presentations, okay? And then done with the reading through the annual, the last 4 investor presentations. Okay, I go to that year's annual report. Okay, from the annual report. Okay, right now I'm just essentially looking at 2 things. One is the message from the chairman, letter to shareholders. That's one. The other is management discussion and analysis. So I'm just looking for 2 sections right now. Obviously, we'll get to the other sections later of the annual report, but right now I'm just looking for these 2 sections. Doesn't take a lot of time. Okay. Once you're done, go back 1 year back in time. Okay, pick the investor presentation from that year. Okay, and then once you're done, then pick the annual report of that particular year. Repeat the process. So usually I just go 2 years back in time. Okay. And then at times I may even go 3 years back in time. See, I read, at times even I go 3 years back in time, and then I start researching on the industry. See, it's more of a parallel process than a serialized process. I cannot say that I'm when I'm I need to kind of complete the industry research. Many times I do not exactly know what I'm looking for, because your understanding of the company only gradually improves. As in when you scout through different sources. Okay. So third is industry research. Okay. I'll spend some time on the sources that you need to look at. And then I start reading the conference call transcripts. See, because I'm done with last 2 years worth of annual report investor presentations. Okay. So what I do is I know that I need to go through the conference calls for the last 2 years first. Okay. So I usually start from Q4, the latest Q4 wala earning call transcript, because it will tell me what has happened through the entire course of the financial year. And then I go through other quarters of the current year as well. Okay. And then I go back. Okay. Q1, Q2, and Q3. Okay. So see, this is broadly the sequence I follow. Okay. And obviously, once I'm done with the last 2-3 years, then I go back even further. Minimum 5 years तो back in time आपको जाना ही चाहिए. So I keep on repeating the process. Okay. All right. Now let me just talk about what I actually look for. Say, so if I start, let me, and by the way, what kind of information I'm really capturing in this? So essentially, broadly, there are two things which I need to capture. Okay. First is, from all these sources, I need to slowly understand the business better, step by step. Okay. All right. And then, and for example, investor presentation, I would get to know as to what segments and what products they make up the company's business. So I'll take a note of all those business segments. Okay. All right. And I capture notes against each of those segments, which I find in the investor presentation. All right. Okay. And then the second, beyond understanding business, is one broad aspect. The other is I also need to assess the moat or the competitive advantage that the business has over vis-a-vis its competition. Okay. So to assess the moat, okay, I use Porter's 5 forces. And if you have not heard of it, that's totally fine. We'll touch upon it. So essentially, first is Porter's 5 forces. Then I'm constantly, all the time, I'm trying to assess the market size and the market share, the current market size and the market share for this company. Okay. All right. If that information is explicitly provided, then great. Otherwise, I'll have to estimate it. Okay. And we'll touch upon a couple of methods as to how you could estimate the current and the future market size and market share. Okay. All right. Because that's very important. You need to know the market. You need to know the size of the opportunity, right? If that has not been explicitly provided to you, you need to estimate it. Okay. All right. And obviously, what portion of that opportunity can this company capture over a period of time, which is future market share. Okay. Then the next is cost advantage. Does the company has any cost advantage vis-a-vis its competition? The next, another key important thing is execution capability. Are they walking the talk? Are they meeting the guidance? Okay. See, so when I'm reading the investor presentation, the annual report, industry research, conference call transcripts, I'm looking to capture both these two broad buckets of information, okay, from all these sources all the time. Okay. All right. So if you see my so once I'm done kind of walking through this framework, then you watch the Agarwal industrial video and also watch the Radiant cash management video as well. Okay, you'll be able to connect as to how I use this framework in my videos to do equity research. So any which ways, let's move forward. Okay, so here, so as I said, investor presentation is my first go-to. Okay, so I'll capture anything about the business segments. Okay, here, and also as I said, I need to capture the market size, right? Okay, market size. So I would market size of the demand. So I'll key notes which I think would be helpful for me to understand the current market. All right. Okay. Now, see, this is, and again, as I said, you from the annual report, you not only capture information on the business segments, you also try to assess the moat as well. When I say, and I've been talking about moat, Porter's 5 forces. See, essentially any business, right? Porter's 5 forces. The first is competitive rivalry, about competition. Competition कैसा है? Suppliers कैसे हैं? Supplier power क्या है? Buying customer power. Fourth is threat of new entrants, entry barrier, entry of barriers to entry, and one is threat of substitution. So when I'm reading through investor presentation, annual report, industry research, or conference call transcripts, right? Okay, I'm essentially trying, always in my mind, I'm just trying to look at, all right, okay, are they talking about competition right now? Okay, if they're talking about competition, I quickly make a note of it against that cell. Ki acha, investor presentation, we're talking about competition, I took a note. Industry research, they're talking about so many other companies which import bitumen into India. They're very small, by the way. So I quickly make a note. Okay, right? And these could be pointers to my notes. Okay? But information kahin to capture karoge ek saath. Okay, because only then you'll be able to make sense of all the information. Otherwise, you could get lost. I get lost very easily. So I need to house all the information, at least the pointers to those information at one place. Okay, and then also, so competition rivalry, competition, anything about the competition I capture here. Supply power I capture here. Ki supply kaun kar raha hai inko. Okay, and once I'm kind of done through all the sources of information, I can better gauge the supply power, because more often than not, that information will not be explicitly provided. So you have to make an assessment. See, this sheet is not only an information capturing sheet, but also based upon what you've captured, you should be able to assess and interpret it. Okay, and then then gauge ki how's the supply power. Payables में जो हो रहा है, उसके through you can gauge ki how's the supplier power. Because all the time they would not be talking about suppliers. Okay, but you have to make an assessment on your own. So एक जगह तो आप लिखोगे कहीं पे buyer power, customer power. Again, I कि customer की power क्या है? I read somewhere there are no long-term contracts with the customers. Okay, that's slightly concerning. That's why I have it in orange. I put it here. All right. So see, I made a note in the earnings call transcript, and I talk about it in my video as well. Okay. And I make all these notes in these documents, in these earning call transcripts, just so that when I pick them again, I don't have to go through the entire document. Okay. All right. And so yes, so I would make notes of anything related to customers in these documents, in these earning call transcripts, and I'll also maintain that list in the spreadsheet as well. Okay. Okay. And then when I'm kind of done with all of that, so I can assess based on all the information I've gathered, I can make an assessment ki buyer power kitna hai. Customers really have the power over this company or no? Okay, that's a subjective call that you'll have to take. Okay, all right. So you have no long-term contracts. Similarly, if I let's say talk about threat of substitutes. Okay, so remember in the video I also talk about substitutes. So I'm actually in my video when I talk about all these, I'm actually following a structure. I'm following the framework. Okay, I'm talking about all the Porter's 5 forces because I've already kind of made a note of all those forces in these documents and in my spreadsheet. Okay, so I talk about cement, which is a substitute, which could be a substitute, which also is used in road construction. So I talk about, okay, all right, what about the demand of cement in road construction? And I look at the response of the management and I make a note. Okay, obviously, just don't rely on their word, on the management, but you also got to like search externally. Indeed, in cement ka demand for road construction kaisa hai or kaisa hone wala hai through your industry research as well. Okay, but I think you get the larger point on what I'm trying to cover. Yeah, so if you see the threat of substitution, okay, I cover all these points and I'll report on what I found. I took a note. Earnings call में Q1 के August 22 के earning call, what I found, I took a note here. Threat of substitution में, and again FY23 के earning call में, whatever I found about substitution, I took a note. Okay, all right. And similarly, demand as well. So here I'm talking about the market size of the demand. Okay, and I know I'll touch upon a couple of methods that you can use, to estimate demand if it's not been explicitly given to you. Okay, we'll come to that. Okay, all right. So whatever about market size, market share, that information you capture here. Okay, in fact, let me show you my snippet of my video. So you see, I also talk about what these guys are doing to meet the incremental demand. Okay, all right. And in my mind, I know this would fall into demand. So again, you see, otherwise, if you just sift through the documents, in your mind, you should always, whatever is being talked about, you should actually be slotting it in different sections. Okay, all right. And the Porter's 5 forces and, a couple of other things that I discussed, okay, they just provide you a framework that you can use to slot whatever you come across, in different categories. And then once you do that, okay, you would be able to assess whether there is any a moat that's there in this company. Okay, all right, and okay. And one thing which is very important is, I'm just making sure I'm getting recorded. Yes. Okay. One way that is very important is also look at their execution capability. Okay. Are they walking the talk? If they say something that they'll do this to achieve demand, they'll spend this much, they'll get this much of revenue. Are they really meeting the guidance? So that only you can make out once you've gone through different earnings call transcripts. कि पहले ये बोला था, okay, बाद में एक साल में कर लिया. Okay. So you have to track that as well. Okay. And once you've gone through all of this, you've filled all these slots, you're in process of making a judgment. How is their moat? You're trying to assess their moat. Okay. So यहाँ पे what I do is I, based on whatever I could come across, यहाँ पे I give them a score, if you will. Okay. कि ideally competition में I would want to invest in a country where there is low competition. तो यहाँ पे मैं देखता हूँ कि how is the competition in this industry. So I've written medium. ये मेरा कॉल है कि okay, PSUs से इनको competition मिलता है. Plus there are a lot of small bitumen importers in India. Okay? So I cannot just say it's a low competitive industry. There is competition. Okay, but obviously since these guys have a very good infrastructure, good scale in India. Okay, so I believe. So I conclude that for this company in this industry there is medium competitive rivalry. Okay, and similarly I go on and forward with assessing other Porter's forces as well. Okay, and at times the information that you have gathered may not be enough, so you have to also look at financial statements. Like for example, supplier power, I looked at payables as well. Okay, to form an assessment to augment whatever I captured already. Okay, similarly buyer power, जो कैप्चर किया वो तो ठीक है. You may also want to note down any receivable specific information as well. Are you like paying your customers? Are you getting payments from your customers in time? If you're dealing with if your customers and you are this tiny and your customers is a big company, then obviously they may be able to negotiate payments to you on their own terms, right? Okay, so there you may land in a working capital situation as well. So any which ways, you also got to augment this analysis with financial statement analysis as well, which is the third step in our process. Okay, right? And then there is threat of new entrants, and again, some of this information may not be explicitly provided, so you have to be a little logical. See, they already have a large infrastructure, so it will take a lot of time for new entrants to catch up. Right? That's what you can conclude. All right, and then threat of substitution. Okay, so we've discussed already that concrete could be a potential substitute. Okay, but then there is evidence that that bitumen certainly has a lot of advantages over concrete when it comes to road construction, especially national highways. So that's why I have there is low threat of substitution. Okay, all right. So this is how you make a moat judgment. And again, it's not complete right now. Okay? Then you have to look at the market, the demand, the cost advantages as well. And I know I said we will touch upon I'll discuss the market sizing. How do you estimate market size using both top-down and bottom-up methods? I'll touch upon it later. Okay. See, तो इसी तरीके से you make a judgment कि how is the moat of this company vis-a-vis its peers. All right. Okay. And and then towards the bottom I have this table in which I try to. Abhi it's a little too premature. Okay. But I try to capture the thesis or antithesis. Thesis as in if I were to invest in this company, then what are the reasons for me that I should invest, and then what are some of the things that could go wrong. That is my antithesis. That I also, and again, it's premature. Right now, it's not like fully solid. It's not 100% baked in. But try करने में क्या जाता है? अभी try करो because अभी financials पूरा अच्छे से analyze नहीं किए हैं. अभी management नहीं analyze किया है. Okay. So once you do that, then you will be in a better position to update your thesis and the antithesis. Okay. And so here we see my thesis at least for now is that they are the largest importer of bitumen based on what I read. Okay. Annual report may a lot of they clearly have a lot of infrastructure in India, port, storage, what have you. Okay. Competition जो है PSU, their production has been falling. Okay, it's pretty steady. It's not increasing. Okay. All right. So again, that adds to my confidence, adds to my thesis. Okay. And finally, I conclude. Okay, the other import players will take time competition will take time to catch up since they have a benefit of this large infrastructure they have that they have set up over there. Okay. And then there are some antithesis point as well, that government may force PSUs to increase bitumen production, and so that could be a potential antithesis that may play out. Okay, and the other is, what if they start using concrete back again? They mix it with something and they start using it. So again, that could be a negative that may pan out. Okay, and again, but again, this would be a little. So you got to once you're done going through the management quality and the financial statement, which are steps B and C, or steps 2 and 3, then yeah, come back and update it. Okay. All right. So I hope this was helpful. See, I don't think I've kind of given anything new, but I just wanted to share a framework that you can use to do this analysis, do equity research systematically. Okay. Otherwise, many times you do not know from where to start, where to end. All right. There has to be a structure that you need to follow. And I know perhaps in one of my videos, I'll actually show you ये framework use करके देखो मैं ऐसे कर रहा हूँ. Okay. All right. But I'm sure that now if you go to this Agarwal video, the Agarwal equity research video that I've put up, you'll be able to relate कि how I what structure के साथ मैं cover कर रहा हूँ. I'm using a framework at the back of my mind. Okay. When I go back and forth different earning call transcripts, because I'm using all that information to arrive at a conclusion. Okay. So that was my video 1, and then उसके बाद second video में मैं management quality cover करता हूँ, third video में I cover financial statement analysis and valuation. Okay. So that's how I structured my equity research videos. Okay. And yeah, so that should be the thought process that you can use if you want. All right.